what's up everybody? Chris Cut, NSX here. I have not made a YouTube video in like a month and a half, maybe even longer. I don't know. I've been busy. So anyway, I'm gonna be supposed to be going to California soon to go cross country. My plans for the cross country trip where I wanted to go take my time and everything and just kind of see how long I could last out there. But now what's going on is I have to be out there for the 18th for an event, and then I really want to get back here for H2O, which is just a week after that. I don't even know if it's really going to be, I mean, I know it's possible, but it's not going to be as enjoyable for me to do this trip. I'm still going to have fun, but I won't be able to stop and see many places. So this may be kind of like a preliminary cross-country trip or a test where I just drive out there, basically, drive back, and then I'll do one where I have more time. But because I've been doing so many other projects around my house and whatnot, the trailer's been kind of neglected. Now, I did take it out, and I put 4,000 miles on it so far, just to kind of work out any kinks. And it's kind of like I want things to break now rather than later when I'm on my cross-country trip. So I've been hitting potholes and taking it all over. I took it camping up and did Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire. And so, yeah, I put 4,000 miles on it, and everything's surprisingly great on this thing. It's like I accidentally built a perfect trailer. It's really well balanced and everything else, and I'm very happy with it. But there are some things I need to do, such as I still have to figure out how to mount my these guys right here, these traction boards. Fire extinguisher I think I'm going to put there. The lights I have to put here, which I need to wire up to these buttons. The Moto Compo's in there right now, but I still need to finish a floor in here, which is going to be a big job. I have to put these side windows in. Now I noticed, because I keep all my bedding and everything in here, 2 comforters and a sleeping bag and pillows and whatnot and clothes, flashlights and whatnot, and a fan, that this thing is really kind of hard to close. So I actually climb up here and stand on it to get it to cinch up. And how I do that is I usually put 1 foot on the wheel, and then I put my other foot here and then climb up. Now once I put windows here, I can't really do that anymore. So I'm gonna have to think of another solution to get up there. I mean, it's not that high. The car's pretty low. I could probably just run and jump up there, honestly. But yeah, it was convenient to be able to step on this. But I won't be able to do that when I do windows. So yeah, that's something else I have to do, is figure out how to mount those. When I bead rolled this, it was sealing really nicely along here, but now you can see it's not. The whole thing is kind of bent this way, like bowed. So I have to bend this back. I still have to put my finishing bolts up here, and yeah, that's it. So I also need to do some serious weight reduction, but all these things I just talked about are going to be adding weight to this. So I just picked up this from Harbor Freight so I can cut out the glass in here, because there's no reason for me to have that. And I had put the engine cover in here, and I was kind of going to use it as a shelf for clothing or whatever supplies to just stuff back here when I take out that cabin window. However, that's extra weight. I don't really need it. And I was going to do something funny where I was going to print out a photograph of an engine at Staples and put that in there, so when people looked, it would look like there was an engine. I was actually going to take some kind of round cylinders made out of aluminum, and I was going to make ITBs for it. I thought that would be funny, and just stick them on the photograph on there, the vinyl or whatever. But right now it's more important for me to reduce weight. So I don't know how much all this glass weighs. I might even make this out of Lexan. I won't right away. I won't have time for that. But eventually I might do that. So yeah, that's what's going on. And right now I'm going to do some of this. I'll probably do a lot of it off camera because I don't want to bore you guys. But I will keep you updated along the way as I do things. All right. So at the end of this video, I believe I'll put everything on a scale and weigh everything just so I can subtract it from the weight I had last time. But so far, I have the engine cover off. All right, I'm drenched in sweat because I didn't have the AC on in here, and it's a really humid day. We're about to have a hurricane in a couple days. I don't know the name of it, whatever. But I just got the window out. It took hours. I keep learning new things about this trailer. That window was obviously smashed in the past, probably when the trailer was rear-ended. Because somebody had put it in and they used like 10 times more glue. I don't even think they wanted to use that much glue. I think they were just like, oh, the next guy who buys this thing is going to turn into a trailer, and let's give him a hard time about removing this glass. So yeah, there was a lot of glue, but it's out. And so part of the damage on this trailer, when it was rear-ended, I don't know exactly what happened, but you can't see it from here, but the trunk was caved in. This is the front side of the trunk, the backside's down there. But all that metal down there, all been bent back, sort of. But this whole side was caved into, and you can see where it was all re-glued here. That's not factory. You could see these welds here. Well, those are mildly welds when I ran out of argon, but all this right here has been cinched back together and reskinned. Back here, you could tell it was kind of caved in. You could see where it's split there. So this thing, its first accident was a rear end collision, and it obviously hit the passenger side too. But yeah, you could see like where all this is re-glued. So yeah, I'm thinking this back window broke in the process of that accident. Okay, so far I've removed 25 pounds, and yeah, I think about 10 pounds of glue too that was on this window. So yeah, 25 pounds down so far. I was skeptical about pulling 100 pounds off this thing. I still don't know if I'll be able to, but I'm a little more confident now that I see that just these two items were 25 pounds. As far as excess material, I can still cut about a foot off this tongue. I can cut all this out, all these temporary welds I had that were holding the inner door skin just to keep them on while I did this. I can cut all this out. This piece right here is structural, but I think I'm gonna cut it out anyway, kind of send it till I bend it sort of thing. If that ends up compromising the integrity of the trailer, I could always just put it back or weld some square tubing across, but I believe I'm gonna cut that out. The only problem is I did some wiring on either side for the air suspension, the fuse box and everything runs across here on either side and goes to a battery. And there's the fuse box and the battery shut off, and the junction box and the air suspension and the compressor and the smart battery isolator and all that stuff runs through these wires here underneath to my little auxiliary motorcycle battery, and wires for the lights on this side as well. So I may have to relocate those wires when I cut that. Well, I will have to if I cut that, but that's not that big of a deal. As far as any other weight, even though this engine cradle is aluminum, it is still extremely heavy, and I'm not sure how much of this I can start cutting up because it holds the suspension in place. Now, that suspension is all bolted up into this engine frame, the engine cradle, which is then bolted up into the frame of the car, or the chassis. So, I mean, this is all meant to hold an engine and hold the torque of the engine and everything, but I can cut off that motor mount there. I can cut off the transmission mount there, and I may be able to, at the very least, slice some of this off, if not cut it completely out. Now, right now it's holding my tongue, but I can always get more square tubing and run it all the way back or something. I don't know, but my goal is to get 100 pounds out of this. I know that's kind of aiming high, and I shouldn't set my expectations for that, but I figure if I aim for that and I get as close to it as possible, that'll be a good thing. Also in the doors, there's still that big thick piece of metal there, which is heavy. The latching mechanisms, so that'll save some weight too. All right, guys, it's the next night. I'm back out here again. Last night I removed the rear back glass inside the cabin here and the engine cover, and that actually took off 25 pounds, so that's quite a good amount. I'm happy with that, but I'm not happy enough. I want to remove more weight, so I'm going to take out as much as I possibly can. Now, overall, this trailer is going to weigh more than it does now when I'm done, because I'm going to be putting spare tires in it, and jacks and jack stands and tools and the moto compo and whatever else. So right now, it did weigh 790 pounds. Subtract the 25, we're at 765 now. So before I add weight, I just want to try to take out as much as possible to try to make up for it. So that's what we're going to do, and right now I'm going to just start cutting out metal. In my travels with this trailer so far, the 4,000 miles I've put on it, everything seems perfect and balanced, so I don't want to mess with it. But on the other hand, I kind of have to. I just want to reduce as much weight as possible. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. I've never done this before, and it's almost like I accidentally built a perfect trailer. It's so balanced. So I am a little concerned about changing any geometry and, you know, shortening the tongue and all this, but I think it's all stuff that needs to be done for the benefit of everything overall. I think I just need to go over everything and reduce as much weight as possible. So tonight, that's my plan. And even though I'm reducing weight, I'm going to be adding weight after. So I went and I bought myself a nice piece of aluminum today for the floor down here. But I mean, overall, it's going to weigh more than it does right now, I'm sure, especially when it's fully loaded, because I've been driving around with this thing. So right now as it sits, it was 790 pounds. Now I just took out 25 pounds. So right now as it sits, it's 765 pounds. When I weighed it before with the tent on it, it was 911 pounds. And then I probably have 80 pounds worth of stuff in the trunk, and the moto compo is 100 pounds. So do the math, that's about what we're at right now. But once I add a floor in here and start keeping spare tires and a jack and jack stands and tools and whatever else, this thing is going to get heavy very quickly. So it's not that I'm concerned about the NSX pulling it. It pulls it great. It has enough torque to handle it. That's not a problem. Just, I think it's some kind of mental block I have about the idea of towing a trailer that's heavy. So before I start adding weight to it, I'm just going to take out as much as I can. So I couldn't get a nice arc the whole way across because there's all paint and glue and everything, but the piece is off. There it is. Only caught fire a little bit. I realize now the plasma cutter needs to make a arc to stay on continuously, so maybe I should grind away all this glue and stuff on this one. That's probably what I should do, but I'm not gonna. Instead, what I'm gonna do is just do the same thing I just did and get that out. But it's nice because it exposes the frame. I can get right up against it now and kind of see what I'm doing a little better. So it's starting to get a lot more roomy in here. I just cut out that part. Here's my decision. I'm at a crossroads. Originally, when I made this trailer, before I even got it actually, knew I wanted to make it, I knew I wanted to have this whole inside hollow, including that trunk back there. I didn't want it. I just wanted it to be one big floor going across. I purposely made this thing 7 feet long so you could sleep in it if you wanted to, but I ended up putting the tent on it instead, so that kind of eliminated the need for that. However, I still want to have room for as much storage for luggage and whatnot. But because I already designed it the way I did and put the tongue on the engine cradle there and did all my wiring basically on that little bulkhead there, so I have my junction box, my air compressor, and everything else on there. Now I'm thinking, well, I want to cut that out, and that means that I'll have to change all the wiring. I'll have to redo everything and relocate all the components, maybe on that back wall, maybe somewhere else, I don't know. But then I'm starting to think, well, if I'm going that far and starting to change that, maybe I should change the tongue location too and just cut this out, even though it holds the suspension up, so I'm not quite sure if I should do that or not, and then run the tongue all the way to the back, cut out the trunk, and make a floor going all the way back. That is the plan eventually. I'm just wondering if I should do it right now. The thing is, I'm kind of close to my departure date, so I don't want to bite off more than I can chew and not be able to finish it by my deadline. So that's what I'm thinking right now. I'm determining whether I should cut that out or not. I'm leaning towards yes. It just sucks. I'll have to redo all the wiring and relocate all the components. But that's where we're at now. Carpet weighs 6 pounds. Toolkit with all the tools except for the compressor weighs 4 pounds, 14 ounces, 14.4 ounces. And so far, all this metal I've come out comes out to almost 11 pounds. So it's 10 pounds, 15.7 ounces. All right, so this is pretty much nice and open out here. I think all these components are eventually going to find their way back here on like a shelf or something nice and neat. But for now I did some temporary wiring because since the battery's over here and all the components are over there, and I have my blinker wires over here, or my parking lights I should say. Those were running across here underneath the window on that beam, but since that beam's no longer there, I ran them up here. And yeah, that's what I have done so far. I'm not gonna tighten up any zip ties yet, any wire ties, because I'm going to be running wires for the floodlights, the spotlights that I got that are gonna be going on the roof rack. So I'll still have to run a few wires through there. So I'm holding off on that, and I'll do that tomorrow when I come back out here. But I'm actually, it's completely different now. I know you guys don't see the inside of this thing a lot. I do, and it's very noticeable to me how much more room there is in here. It's opened everything up so much. Yeah, so I should have no problem fitting some spare tires back here, a jack, the Moto Compo, and then even extra stuff, so shouldn't be an issue at all. And I'm gonna cut some more stuff out. I'm running out of things to cut out unless I start just cutting holes with a hole saw inside of the frame, which I may actually do. I'm not 100% decided on it. If I had to guess, that pile of aluminum in front of the Moto Compo there, it's probably about 50 pounds of stuff if you include the glass and everything I got out. So far 50 pounds isn't bad. Problem is I'm running out of stuff to cut out. So this is where I'm at now. So far, I just took a chunk out of this door. It's ugly, I gotta clean it up. I did it with the plasma cutter. I'm gonna take out this crash bar because there's no real reason for that. I don't want it. So I'm cutting that out. That'll save me some weight. That thing's actually pretty heavy. I gotta do the same thing to that door. I've taken out the bulkhead, most of it, with the exception of these inner ones for the engine bay, just the sides. I may cut those out as well. And there's the heavy engine cradle, which I'm not sure if I could really do much about that. This floor is very thick, but it's also very sturdy, and it's already half of a floor, and the Moto Compo fits there perfectly. So I'm probably gonna leave that alone. I could start cutting holes in the frame going along because it's not really essentially a frame anymore. The new frame is the trailer frame, which is basically the tongue, this piece, and the engine cradle. All right, so here's the big pile of metal I have cut out so far. So that comes out to 41 pounds and almost 5 ounces. And then there was another 25 pounds and 5 ounces from the engine bay cover and the window. So the back glass in the cabin. So that brings me to a total of 66.5 pounds that I've reduced from this trailer so far. And so tonight I'm gonna go have some friends over. We're gonna barbecue, and then tomorrow morning I have to go to Caffeine and Carburetors. If I'm not too hungover, I'll film it. Let's see. Okay, the next video will be me putting the floor in the NSX trailer. So stay tuned for that. We'll get the floor in here. Then there'll be some finishing touches. I gotta do the windows, make some mounting points for the Moto Compo and spare wheels and whatnot. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate the support. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe below. And stay tuned for more videos coming shortly. I try to release one every week. Thanks.